OK, we're going to move on. Thanks, guys. We're going to move on and, in a way, get to some basics and to some facts. To present a joint study on the digital impact or the impact of digital on football, David Dellea, please, from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Frank Zahn, who's the founder and CEO of Exozet, the biggest digital agency in Germany. Guys, hey, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here in Berlin today. IFA, Exozet, and us at PwC in the past couple of weeks took some time to reflect a little bit on what the impact is of digital onto football. Why did we do so? What was our goal? Our goal was that of being thought-provoking. Now, I mean, we've had great discussions today. Nobody ultimately really knows what the future really will hold going forward. However, we all know that digital pretty much is here to stay. I think nobody has any doubts about that. Now, out of this perspective, I think it's everyone's duty to take a stance on it, to have an opinion about it, and to really try to think out how is it that digital will impact the way we do business within the industry. So that was basically the mindset that we had when we started this review. Now, today, Frank and I are going to discuss about two topics. So we'll just give a glimpse about what we've done. And we're going to talk about two topics specifically, about the impact that digital ecosystems are having on football clubs and what is the opportunity there to boost return on investment. And then Frank will talk about the opportunity around in-game data and wearables technology. So the review we've done is going to be published towards mid-December. So I hope you enjoy the reading and yeah. So just doing a step back and thinking about digital transformation, what it really means. I think there are four defining aspects which, out of our perspective, really make a huge difference around digital. First of all, it's disruptive. So the changes that is happening, the degree of change that is happening across any industry beyond sports is substantial. So a new industry appearing, order disappearing, things merging. It's really a game changer for real. Second aspect, and I think this is the most important, and we tend to forget about that, is the fact that it's a generational change. So digital natives, so people, just our children, or my daughter in my case, that were born alongside actually with smartphone and other devices, actually act and think differently. And this is what we often tend to forget. So us as digital converts, we always need to question, we actually do understand how this guy think, how do they think, how do they act, and that's an extremely important aspect. Now, third aspect is the raising expectation. So digital natives have significantly higher expectation. They have higher expectations in terms of controlling the type of experience they're having when they go digital. And most importantly, they have a higher expectation at large in terms of how rich and how personalized that experience needs to be. And they project this expectation across any channel, across any interaction they have. Now, last but not least, digital means data. And we've talked a lot about data and identity earlier. So as more and more of our life is getting projected onto digital or having some degree of digital shadow, we end up leaving behind a huge data trail, which is piling up over time. So now we're measuring, as we all know, stuff that we didn't even imagine 5 or 6 years ago that could be measured, like sentiments or preferences, interests, or stuff that by definition is subjective, hence very difficult to measure. So now let's look at what really drives a value around football. And here, the start and the very basic will remain and is always around football. So how well you play, how successful you are, that's the basics, and without that, nothing happens. That's clear. Then comes content. How well are you packaging those 90 minutes and beyond in a captivating way and delivering those to fans? Now, the question is that really enough? Is that really enough to make the most value out of your passionate fans? Is that the best you can do to get the best return on investment? And we think maybe not. And the point is, that context needs to come into play. And that's where, as we've seen also in the previous discussion, really, you start to be in business out of our perspective. Digital natives are screaming for context. They want us really to tell them how to navigate through that massive content that is piling up and really tell them what is relevant to them individually. And I think really that is the future. So on the question, how do we move now from content to context? So let's look here how a fan actually interacts with its favorite club. So with digital, there is an explosion of the type of channels that a fan is utilizing to interact. Digital channels, but also physical channels. And those channels, also physical ones, like a store, are increasingly having a digital shadow, I would say. So that is happening on one side. On the other side, this is being mirrored by a number of functional activities within a football club that tendentially worked within silos. Now, what is the interesting part about that? Is that beyond all of this, there is still one single relationship. That is that one fan interacting with that one club. That's a constant. Second of all, as we've seen before, as the fan passes by, he leaves a huge trail of data. However, through the fragmentation of all of these channels and all of these functions, there is a big missed opportunity. Big missed opportunity. And that is that of gaining a really, truly holistic view of that fan. So how can that be addressed? And here, actually, to a certain extent, I feel I'm repeating a bit to what we were discussing before, but it confirms on the other side that that's the right track, I guess. So today, focus is still obviously on engaging fan, and that should remain the case forever. Engaging is the key, no doubts about that. So what we see is an increasing adoption of processes and systems on our own CRM that allows you to deliver more personalized content, moving away just from mass content broadcasting. Now, the quantum leap, as discussed also earlier, is really once we get to a situation whereby the club in a position to converge all of this system into an integrated digital ecosystem. And that ecosystem, as also mentioned earlier, is the one that really integrates all the channels, integrates the different functions, still working in silos, ticketing, merchandising, and the likes, and also all the parties. And here we're talking not only about the club, but we're also talking about their sponsors, potentially suppliers, eventually players, and most importantly, the fans themselves. So at that point, we think that really the club will be in a position to really distribute content that is going to resonate with that fan. Now, how do we get there? So, like in mountaineering, also here, in order to get to the summit, you need to start from the bottom. And the bottom, in our view, is really that of adopting a clear strategy. So you need to build a clear strategy in how you want to deal with the digital age. That's absolutely clear. On top of that, you need to be able to mobilize the right resources. And obviously, every club is different. Every club is willing to dedicate a certain amount of resource into this. Once this is clear, it's all about data. And as we've seen before, about identity, which is part of data. You need to be able to identify what type of data can you access to, have access to, and how to gain control on it, including the identity specifically. And eventually also explore a new way of capturing data. Yeah? Third of all comes insights. So you need to be able to incorporate the right tools to extract information out of that data. And most importantly, I would say, you need to have the right talent. You need to have the right talent to be able to make sense out of that data and create and be in a position to disseminate that throughout the entire organization. Last but not least, and that's the boring stuff that we like as consultants, is the organization. You always have an organization that ultimately has to deliver all of this. Until that moment, everything is just on paper, everything are just words and great intentions, and it's really about structuring your organization, breaking down those silos in a smart way, in order to be in a position to really deliver the strategy in the right way. And that's, we think, is really the key to be able to get to the summit and really live digital transformation. Now, one of the thoughts that we were debating around is, okay, what if nobody is doing this? What if a club is not really capturing this opportunity or going on top of this trail? Well, is the club going to disappear because of that, because of not adopting digital? Probably not. Football still has this great privilege of working in a sort of monopolistic / oligopolistic market. So probably they're not going to disappear, but definitely they're going to miss out, as we were saying before, their greatest asset. And that asset is their relationship to their fan, understanding them individually, and delivering them content that really resonates with what they want. And that process of disintermediation, I think, is the biggest risk. It's not going to put a club to the ground, but it's definitely going to hamper their ability to monetize and generate return on investment. So that's what I want to talk about in this regard. So I'll pass the floor to Frank.
Thank you, David, very much. I am Frank. I'm from Exozet, as Darren already said. I give you a first view about the topic of wearables. I call it wearable revolution. And we'll get an inside view about, are there new business models there, especially for your industry? And we give you some ideas about if there are in that new area which is evolving right now. So first of all, are wearables becoming relevant? And a lot of analysts out there say it becomes really relevant. Most of them always say or are saying that it becomes so relevant that you have a third revolution of internet coming to you. Because we are the first one who connected about 1 billion people on the world, the fixed line internet, DSL and so on. Now we are in the second wave in the mobile area. We talked a lot about apps and all that stuff right now. Are we going in apps from social networks, in apps, and vice versa? And the whole wearable topic, or the Internet of Things, will become much, much bigger. Why is it becoming bigger? Because everybody in this room has now a smartphone. And I saw a lot of wearables right now. From the colleague from Google had an Android watch. And I saw wristbands and so on. And at the end, we will see that more than one wearable will be attached to everybody here. So there will be smartwatches, there will be activity trackers, health wearables, and so on. I think at the moment we cannot say what will come next in that, but this is the first products are on the market right now. Why are they there? Because the technology became much cheaper. So you can build products out of that. What we have there with this wearable stuff is that we all will generate a lot of more data, and the quality of data will become much, much better. When you follow the media right now, there's not one day where you don't see a press something in the media, which a company like yesterday, Microsoft released their first wearable or announced their first wearable, you know, the Apple Watch, and so on. So there's coming a lot of stuff coming there. And this means that when we have those wearables there, that a new ecosystem for services and applications will be there. There's also a quantified itself movement where everybody tries to quantify himself. And this is a chance also to connect those private data to athletes. We'll come on to that topic later on. What we also see, besides the watches and bands and so, are the whole augmented reality topic. In 2013, Google released the Google Glass. And we will see a lot of more investments and a lot of more products in this augmented reality area. There are even pills they're coming to you which sends data from your stomach to your mobile device or something. How is your health status at the moment? So what has this all to do with football and how this new data ecosystem will be built? So what we see right now in the football area that we have a lot of pro player measurement going on. This is mostly captured visually. There are some companies, some real great companies here who analyze games, professional games. They do a lot of data feeds, sports data feeds, mostly for professional use and also for media. And we have a second area for training data, where a lot more professional clubs are doing a lot of performance improvements, training load, injury analysis, movement analysis, and so on for their teams in their training, which will right now not be officially published. So that is the status quo. And what we see, what is coming new is that there might be, or there are coming a lot of consumer wearables. And for what are they used? They're used for amateur training, and they, for this, as I already said, quantified yourself movement with watches and shoes and so on, with balls and what there's all out there. And what you can think of is, or what most of the people who have those applications or tools or wearables are on the market, they have a social component. For example, competing to your friends, who's running faster, who is more healthier, who is sleeping less, or something you can do. We all call this gamification. On the one hand side, and on the other side, we have this augmented reality data, as already mentioned in the last panel. When we have 18,000 people in the stadium, all with Google Glasses or with mobile phones, with 4K cameras in there, with promoting data streams and video streams. So there might be new ways, to let others participate in what I see and what I'm doing. And you can see for the first time in the NFL, there are some experiments going on there. And the first time also, you can see from the eyes of the protagonist, of the player. So, and what does that mean for football, or might mean for football? So first of all, what the user wants, I want to get personalized data streams. From my club, we have talked a lot that in the last panels. But it might also mean that you have a way of self-improvement going on. So, for example, measure myself against my star. We have 100 million fans for Ronaldo, and I think 1/3 of them are playing football for themselves. Maybe they want to compete against him. And it's how he is playing, how he is doing, maybe how he is living. Live like my star could be a way in the football industry for the next decade. There might also, and that's another topic, a new viewing experience. So in stadium, in venue, enhance my game experience in stadium. Maybe and so also at home, but also in the stadium. Additional data in my Google Glass, in real time, what I see in the game, this might lead to new revenue streams. And also a topic we have here, the rights topic. We have to cover the rights of your data and content to secure our assets. Who owns the data at the end? And that's sometimes very easy, and sometimes it's very hard. It's easy to have when you have the professional training data is only on your side, but the visualized captured data is not on your side. So we have to talk about that. So expectation management. On the one hand side, when we talk about fan engagement, we have marketing tools. Through this new wearable stuff, we can have new marketing campaigns going on. It can work with proximity, for example, a lot more context-sensitive stuff. It's even becoming more personal there. We have new brand experience going on, and at the end, it's also a lot about user-centric design we have to be aware of. But the good news on the other side is that there might be, and we talked a lot about money making here, is there might be new revenue streams coming on. When you have all this professional data, and you have people with wearables who really like to have your data because they want to compare to your star or to your club or something like this, you can sell your app to apps. You can make your own apps. You can make your own service, your own premium services in the mobile or in the stadium. You can have real-time in-match data, which you can sell like a premium ticket and you have, for sure, have different kind of, or new kind of advertisement going on. So, in a nutshell, in our opinion, wearables will be very, very successful because they're the most personal thing you can imagine, much more personal like a smartphone, because you wear it at least all the time. The sports and entertainment sector will have a huge portion of the wearable market, the Internet of Things market. You have the data and the popular icons to make products out of it. If you speak about better player measurement, it increases the data quantity and quality of that. That's also one aspect. And the combination of those professional data and the consumer data or the consumer wearables can lead to novel B2C business models. And at the end, the relationship, the engagement, the fan, if it's on Facebook or not, the discussion was very intensive. I liked it. Yeah. I thought about this. Do we have a new MySpace there? Yeah. Is Facebook dead in 2 years? I don't think so. But the relationship will even increase if you have this very deep connection on database between your professional players and your fans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. Come and join us for a couple of minutes. Tell us what are the most exciting things when you talked about augmented reality? What are some of the other things you can imagine? Last night you were telling me a story about...
I just saw the guy from Google is not here anymore. He can tell us something about it. They just invested in a company who's called Magic Leap, about $500 million. It's not announced what they do, but what they said, it looked a little bit like the next version of the Google Glass. They said, okay, when the best tool we have to build pictures, to imagine pictures, is our brain. And so why not do it a little bit more, not on the screen, put the images we want to augment it on the screen, put it more in the brain or something, so this will become scary a little bit somehow. But I'm not in that, I'm not invested, and so I don't know what they're really working on. In the press media was a little elephant on the augmented reality elephant, and they said, okay, they invested $500 million in a flying elephant, so I don't know.
Elephants that fly are quite rare.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody have a question before we take a break? Okay, well, you know, the coffee break is a good time to ask your questions if you have something direct. Tell us when the report comes out.
Mid-December. So we're going to publish it on football-digital.com as well as then on our respective website. So stay tuned.
Okay, stay tuned. We will. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to have a brief coffee break now. And we'll be back here in 10 minutes for the next session, okay? Thank you.